This is Rev Michelle Hopkins. I have been asked to share any information that I might find regarding TTAs and Typhoon Bopha regarding the Philippines. The Philippines are right here, and there is a lot of information to share. Just so that you know, we have a TTA in Australia, and we'll start right here to the east of Australia. There's a huge TTA emission right here, numerous. There it is, right there. It has sister emissions, but the major fence-like emission polarity right there. Then we have a very long TTA emission that is transcontinental. It goes way out into this ocean and all the way up past the west coast of Asia. It starts here in this cyclonic motion, which I believe personally is TTA contrived, and I'll show you why I believe that. This long TTA emission that goes all the way past the coast of China. There's more than one, it's multiple emissions, but as you can see, and I will enlarge it and point it out to you, there is a long dark emission right there that I'm referring to. Also in this area, you've got a shorter TTA emission or polarity, and it's causing negative return over here. There's a square box of TTA activity right in here. It's a footprint. Here it is. It goes right in here. It's a obviously man-made footprint. Let you see it one more time. There it is. There are so many TTA footprints in this, it's just amazing. Do I believe that Typhoon Bopha was contrived? Yes, I do. You'll notice the as you might say, natural inclination of this stream of water in this ocean is westward, but it's being forced by this man-made cyclone and TTAs back toward the west. And you'll get an understanding of what I mean, how it's affecting this. Right there, do you see that? This is something that was forced by this long TTA up the coast. It was generated by that. And these cyclonic motions are being engaged with TTA, creating them. There's another TTA footprint down here that I'll enlarge and show you. Do I believe Tesla Tech arrays have everything to do with this typhoon and that it is part of Agenda 21? I most certainly do. Alright, now I've done some stop frames. I've enlarged them, and I'm pointing out some TTA footprints in them. Whenever I say TTA, I'm referring to a Tesla Tech array. I want to point out that the US owns a Tesla Tech array in Australia, and many of these are coming from Australia. Not all of them, but many of them. This one I believe is coming from Australia. As you can see, it's a fence-like TTA polarity. There's the most immense one, and then it has two sister ones southerly to it. The next one is a frequency plane. This TTA plane drives all the way up through these coasts and to Typhoon Bopha. Here we have two different TTA footprints, two different kinds. This one is coming from Australia. This one may not be coming from Australia, but as you can see, this one is an arc. It's picking up the precipitable moisture in this arc because it's attracted to it, and here is a different kind of TTA footprint. We also see another plane going up towards the northern Philippines. Let me back out of that a little bit so you can see that better. This plane comes all the way from down here. This plane comes all the way from down here, all the way to the top of the Philippines, to the northern portion of the Philippines. Here we show a more remarkable TTA frequency plane. It is driving all the way up through, coming around and bending around Typhoon Bopha. Here is another plane buffeting that first plane, forcing it back, forcing the energy back. There are more TTA patterns in this, but I won't spend more time on them. Here we see numerous things. First of all, there's a TTA arc, a frequency arc. Then you've got a plane coming from the direction of Australia, and another plane coming from the direction of Australia. And you'll notice whenever these planes are in view, precipitable, that darker reddish, more intense color, that becomes more excited, more violent, more moist, and causes more rain. That's why it's the precipitable map. That's what it's mapping. We have a couple more TTA footprints, and any time on this map that you see negative return, always be suspect of that. It is this map trying to get radar return, data return, and this kind of TTA footprint creates problems with that. So whenever you see that, this actually goes all the way up here and much, much further. This is a TTA footprint. And of course it's causing some negative return. Here is another TTA footprint, also causing negative return. Here is a very long plane. I believe this is another one coming from Australia. I could be wrong because the tree is more toward Antarctica, and yes, we have numerous TTAs down in Antarctica, not only us, but others as well, Russia, China, a few others as well. This one comes up here and causes more consternation. But I want you to notice that this is where the precipitable intensity is, okay? This one is really not very intense because that particular plane is not enhancing the weather patterns in this particular picture, okay? Notice what happens with Bopha. All of this eases up. When the frequency intensity eases up, Bopha eases up. Now I can only tell you from this. You know, I haven't been there for most of Bopha's track, okay? But just seeing what I have seen here, when the question is asked of me, do I think TTAs have anything to do with Bopha and its intensity, all I can say is, well, duh. Yes, of course it is. It's showing right here that it is. Every time it becomes intense, Bopha becomes intense. When it eases off, Bopha eases off. You notice here what I'm referring to, this intensity of this plane being forced all the way up those coasts, and look at Bopha, how intense it is. Also buffeted by this other plane, forcing intensity over. You see it's forcing it over. I'm telling you, yes, obviously, when this frequency becomes intense and is boistered against each other, obviously Bopha becomes intense. This is a satellite photo of Bopha going through the Philippines on December 5th, 2012. First of all, I want to point out to you all the many chemtrails in this storm. You can see them littered all throughout the storm, particularly at the outskirts of the storm, and they are aligned with infrasonic undulation. I say infrasonic because the waves are very long. You can tell the frequency is very low, but this thing is littered throughout with chemtrails. Here's one, here's one, here's one, here's one, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of chemtrails. And I'll show you more of the chemtrails in a little bit, but before I do, I have something that's a little bit more gut-wrenching even than that. Here are 2 points of interest that were government points of interest in the Philippines as this storm was about to go through. The cloud cover should have covered this entire area. As you see, the normal cloud cover should be covering that. This should be covered. But there has been a sonic puffing, I call it. There's a footprint, a sonic footprint that creates heat right there and empties a hole in the cloud cover. You've seen it many times. Here is an example. Right there is an area that is populated, and right here is an area that is populated. It too has been cleared of clouds. Now, do you suppose the reason it was cleared of those clouds was to save lives? Because if that was the case, we could have done it all over the Philippines and saved everyone's lives. But no, I don't believe that's what happened. Look over here. This storm is going east-northeast, and right here are 2 tentacles from the storm going directly into those 2 populated areas. Kind of like this. How would you like to see this coming at you? They were aiming this storm at those 2 populated areas. They had fortified it with chemtrails. They had fortified it with frequency to make these particulates, silver iodide and other particulates, conductive, so that they could move the particulates anywhere they wanted to move them with frequency. You move the particulate and you move the moisture. And 2 forks from this storm directly into those areas of interest. This is absolutely diabolical. It is out and out genocide. These are among the many thousands of chemtrails sprayed throughout this storm. You can see them, lines and lines and lines and lines and lines of chemtrails all throughout the storm, all throughout the edges of the storm to fortify this storm and create more intensity. And as you come a little more closely in, you can see frequency delivered to those chemtrails. You see the frequency delivered to the chemtrails right in here. Right in here. I find it interesting that there are no satellite photos from ISS of Australia that I can show you. There is absolutely nothing, no images taken of Australia and at the Philippines, except for that one picture that I showed you. They're all missing except for this last image that I'm going to show you, this satellite photo. This is east of Australia, just past the eastern coast of Australia. This is the particulate plane. That was the frequency plane. It gathered along the frequency plane. That was a TTA frequency, and as you can see in this plane, and I'll open it up a little bit more in just a minute, all this infrasound going upwards in this particulate plane. It's all drawn to this frequency. Let me open it up a little bit more. Might be a little bit easier to see the different lines of the waves of frequency. Right in here, it's easier to see the infrasonic undulation of this entire plane that spans south of Australia all the way to the Philippines. Here it is on satellite imagery, exactly what I said was going on. In Luke 21, we're told, "On the earth, nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea. Men will faint from terror, apprehensive of what is coming on the world. On the last days, this will happen. And so, when these things come upon us because of people who are perpetrating them, using what God created to harm people, this is what I say to God. This is my outcry to the Lord for me and for his people. Be merciful to me, O God. Be merciful to me, for in you my soul takes refuge. In the shadow of your wings I take refuge, till the storms of destruction pass by." Psalm 57. This is Rev Michelle Hopkins. Thank you for watching, everyone, and God bless you.